Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all here. We have been doing this webinar actually. Well, we've been doing webinars since I don't know if you remember the Clubhouse. We were doing Clubhouse I think it was like every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. And we got a lot of people that we connected during those days and Clubhouse. And what we found was that people will come in with the questions and have, you could just unmute yourself and ask questions. But then what we saw is that a lot of people um, who didn't have the knowledge and they have some very valid questions. So some of the people that were here or they were attending, for months or so, they already knew the basics. So they just wanted to get some more, maybe more complex concepts or questions. And so it was like every time we built a level of knowledge, there was a new wave of new people and they went back to asking the very basics. So what we ended up doing is moving that chat into here. We've been doing it since after COVID, and it's always enlightening to see the progression of the questions that you guys have. But also, we don't mind taking it down to the basics of foundational knowledge, and that's what we're here. We do we do a virtual webinar, a virtual meetup every third Thursday of the month as well. We do this open hours, open office hours Q&A. We do talk about some of the deals that we have and that we're pursuing. So it really is. This is your space, and if you're here, if you have questions, you can just raise your hand, and I'll bring you to the panelist room, and we can just have a conversation. But for those of you who are new to this community and don't know us directly because you were, again invited by sharing the link, or maybe you're following me on social media and you saw that I posted this event, and maybe we haven't connected even with people that I met years ago. Many of you, we worked together at one point in the hospital, and you didn't see this aspect of in real estate investing, because we were just day to day rushing with the business with the system, and so we didn't get to talk about real estate. So now we have, again, a different level of connectivity, a different level of maybe wanted to know what we do. And when I say we, as Chris and Chris is here, I believe. Let me just move you if you want to. I know you're on the go, but I just send you an invite to join in the panelist room if you like or if you're able to. But Chris and I, we have been investing together since 2018. Before we started investing separately because we didn't know each other. Since 2006. And we started with the small type of real estate. And at least in my case, I started with a duplex and I really didn't have the guidance on how to do it. Nowadays, there's so many programs. I mean, I have talked to somebody. We talked to somebody not long ago, and she was sharing with us that she's been trying to connect with people to get to grow her net worth, and 28 people had offered her real estate programs. So we do have that, and this is not an offer to it. But what I would like to say is that back then, I didn't even know anyone that could educate me or answer questions about what to do after buying the duplex. How do I rent it? How do I protect my invested money? How do I protect myself as the owner? How to like put systems in place, do what do you call do automatization, so I didn't have to be sending reminders, how to set up my business. So there was none of that. So fast forward from that, we again in 2018, from 2018 to 2002, yeah, 20, we more than double our portfolio. So we had 35 apartments by then, and we were self-managing everything still. We were not investing with anyone else other than our money. We have used some strategies like to get, DSCR loans, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we mo most of it, it was us. It was re recourse loans that we put in place, and it was every year we just had we hit a ceiling, or a we run out of money pretty much. And if that's you doing your own projects, and you know injecting your own money, you eventually are going to run out of time, run out of money. You're going to be too overwhelmed running your own operations. Or if you are paying a property management, you're eventually going to find out that there is challenge. And even if you have that property management, all your cash flow pretty much is it's tied to, or it can be it's like one um maintenance disaster away. And it's frightening. It's a way at that point our portfolio was valued about 3.5. And you will think that it has replaced or W2 money, or the W2, in this case 1099 income. But it was still frightening because if if anything went wrong, everything else was going to be challenged. We needed to come back to town to handle the crisis. We needed to go and do the eviction. We didn't want to pay anyone to do those evictions. And so again, we were very, very involved. But we realized that we needed to expand our way of thinking and our way to go after bigger properties, go after cash flowing properties, and set all the structures in place so that if anything would happen, we were not, or we will have systems in place. If we needed to take a vacation, we didn't have to be tied to a place, or a series of tasks. And we can go after bigger properties. At that point, what we wanted to do, like many of you, was like, well, we have some money, but mainly we want to work, we want to contribute, we want to contribute what's called sweat equity. And we were able to do that. But so we didn't never saw ourselves as being able to raise capital. That was not what we initially set up for. But at that point, a lot of people that were seeing how successful we were, or we were sharing our story, and they wanted to invest with us. And again, if you are thinking that you can contribute to a team by raising capital, that is one way of doing it. Okay. But you have to have that kind of following. You have to have that kind of success so that people sees what you're doing and they want to do the investment with you. So I'm giving you, and I guess I'm answering some of the questions that we get a lot. Okay. So one of the questions is like, well, I'm getting started. I don't have capital. What can I do? I don't have capital on my own, but I know some people that could invest with me. So I hope that you are catching not only the story that I'm telling you about us, but also what are the things that you can be doing if you want to do this by yourself, if you don't have all the money, or if you don't have a lot of money, if you're willing to be flexible and to be coachable and to be, learn the business as you do. That's the best way to do it. I'm telling you that we have paid so many masterminds. And we learn in every single one. We learn with a new skill, or we connected with people that we ended up partnering with. So that's one thing, that you have to be invested. You have to that eventually you will have to put some money so that you can be pretty much buy your seat at the table. And in the meantime, here you are. Like, this is you being here. It's you're not paying for anything. However, it's your time. It's your time that you're here. It depends what you do with what you learn, is how you're going to capitalize on this. Okay. So anyway, back to the story. To our story. So we had 35 apartments, and in 2020 we realized that we were super, super involved. I stepped back from the hospital work. My primary job is working at the hospital as an anesthesia provider. So at that point, we realized that we needed to restructure our business. It was a cash flowing business. It was, we had if it has appreciated already. Like I said, in 3 years, we more almost. Well, in most cases, we almost triple our money that we invested. So that put us ahead and gave us some capital so that we could go after different partnerships as well as investing in larger properties. So when we invested in properties, and if that's you, that you're like, okay, well now I do have some capital, I want to invest. What are the goals? If you're looking to do this eventually, as an active member or as a sponsor, meaning that you can put your money to work as well as run the project. So being intentional in how we invested, and where we invested and who we invested with. I know that many of you are looking to do your own deals, and you have maybe money for one or two investments. So what we did is we invested with those people that we wanted to eventually have the opportunity to work with them or to become partners and be sponsors in that team. So that and we were very clear and upfront to ask them for that opportunity. Obviously, not every ask was answered. And I can definitely make a list of the things that I know that or that we make mistakes and that we would never do again. And I think I shared that on the Friday call, some of the questions that we personally ask those that are sponsoring a deal and that we looking to invest with. And if you want to talk about that, I can cover at least a handful of them. But if you want the list, I can you just text me and I will send you the link. But those are like there are serious questions that we ask and we got down the list when we want to partner with somebody. I believe that the partnership is the if you were to choose, if you were to um if you're looking at going in a deal, obviously the you need the deal, right? You need the property. But aside from that, partnerships are the most important decision that you're going to make. Yeah, I'm going to say that again. Partnerships are even more important than the property. When you choose the partners right, then everything is going to work out. Like when I said everything is going to work out, meaning that there's going to be challenges. I don't care what kind of property you buy, A class, B class, C class, you are going to have problems running the property. um, but when you have a good team, when you have good partners, when you have people that are aligned and on their goals and they're working together, not to serve their ego or to prove that they're right or to like get away with not doing the work that they say they will. Yes, all of these are things that we've seen in partners. But we also are very blessed to have really, really amazing partners. And so again, aside from getting the right property, the partnership comes even before then. That's my belief. That's what we've seen. We have been in property or in partnerships for which the property is making money. We ended up making money. However, at the end, we have to sell the property because the partnership just was not going to. Sorry, I think somebody asked me something about joining. Send me the list. Okay, I got you. Send me the list of those questions. I got it. I will send that to you guys. Guys, thank you so much. And you know what? I will go ahead and send to everyone that is here. I will send that to you. That way I don't get distracted like I just did. But I appreciate you sending me that reminder. But yeah, so again, when you choose your partnership right, you're gonna be ahead of anything really, any challenge that you are going to encounter. Now, well, I talked a lot about business and business partnerships, and real estate or investing in real estate is a business. We recently bought a 34 units property. Yes, it's a property. Yes, it's Class C that it's located in a Class B neighborhood. and it's a business. So we took it over. We got we had rebranded it. So new website. We've done the capex. We've done execution probably by this weekend. Yeah, that this is the weekend. We'll be done with the external portion of it, and now we're just focusing on the inside. So and I shared this because I just mentioned it's a business, so you have to run a business like a business. Okay. So there's going to be challenges. Every single property, every single acquisition is going to have a different challenge. So even if you have previous experience, or you close in some deals, that builds your tools of or yeah, your skills, and builds up some of that having systems in place. But every single acquisition is going to bring new challenges for you. So the better the team is aligned, the better you're going to be able to solve those issues and move on. Chris,
I want
you're
to,
muted.
yep. I
Yeah.
wanted to take a second and just
Hmm.
acknowledge the fact that because you're talking about the deal that we just purchased.
Hmm.
So, I don't know how many of you ever heard of Mike Tyson's comment of everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And this was one of them where we took a couple of shots as we closed on this property. We took a couple extra shots that we weren't expecting, but the team came together. We were able to save money in the budget, still do all the tasks that we wanted to do. Some people stepped up and filled in areas that allowed us to handle the day to day, handle the tenants. It's only 35 units, so we don't have other property management handling that day to day stuff. And then once we got to the, and plus it was the holidays, so that added an extra little flair in there for getting anything completed. But like she mentioned, we've got all of the exterior stuff done, and these were big, huge jobs, $70,000 jobs for most of them. That had we not been working together as a team, it would definitely have taken longer. And to have these done in the first 2 to 3 months of ownership is just a fantastic milestone to be able to say that we hit. And then on top of that, we also have interior renovations happening at the same time. We have some other pieces that are all coming together at the same time. And because of the things that happened leading up to the closing, we are in a spot now that we're ready to submit documentation for a refinance because we've added so much value to the property that we can see the opportunity to get into a cheaper interest rate is right around the corner. Almost every lender has said up till now, every lender has said that they can do loan to cost for the first 12 months. So it didn't matter how long we held on to it, they still would only do loan to cost until 12. But we found a lender who is also offering loan to cost now, get us in the lower interest rate, and then later allow us to draw off of whatever the new appraised value is after the 12-month period, which nobody else was offering us. So we're super excited that this team came together, did what it needed to do, and we're literally going to be able to refinance this in 6 months rather than 12, and have this other piece on the back end where we can draw some more to either reduce investor capital or be able to um, perk up a few other things on the property. Anyways, I'll let you go from there. But I wanted to applaud the team itself, like because you mentioned the fact that having the right team
Yeah.
helps to get a lot of stuff done. We've had other deals where you're 18 and 20 months into ownership and there's still capex projects happening.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how involved people are willing to be, and how much not just are they willing to say they'll be involved, but how much they will actually be involved.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Chris, for mentioning that. And you're absolutely right. And so this three partners that we're speaking about, they've never done a deal before. This is their first deal. This is it's not like they bring tons of experience or they can see ahead. This is literally us telling them, hey, I need help with this. This is what I need. I need you to put this information together. I need you to work this Monday board. I want you to call the brokers, not the brokers, the vendors. They do have some what we call transferable skills that we were able to capitalize on, and I just we like it's both of us like coaching them so that they can get like the best negotiation for like the price, or we they are learning as we go. And it's super impressive to see how they're so like involved. And it really, it just makes it so, like I was telling Chris, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I have to keep all of that, because all of those like numbers, and we want to itemize everything we spend on each unit. We have like the capex as a whole, and then we have per unit. And this is an older property, so every time you open a wall, you're going to find some unexpected items, and we are able to like fine tune everything. But again, I'm there at the site because I want to make sure that things, I mean, right now we have three crews I was going to say surgical site, at the project site. And so we have at any given time we have three apartments that are being upgraded. Some of them are occupied, so the families are letting us do the work while they're living there. And so there's a lot of coordination that happens. But like the goal here is to have everything executed, or at least the major expenses, and then as fast as possible, because the tenants are seeing, like during the week they see all the work in that unit, and like by the end of the week they're like, hey, can I see it, or can I bring somebody that's looking for an apartment? And we're like, well, you need to hurry up, because we already have somebody that is moving in that unit. So anyway, for us, it's super important to get everything done, to do like what we call the wow effect, to deliver and like all of these amenities, all of these changes to the residents, so that when we talk about, hey, these rents are going up, and so they're not like, well, what are you going to do for me type of thing, because we've done it. We've done it. We changed the whole community. Anyway, so I don't want to go specifically that as like that case study. But if you have any questions, and you want us to handle it or to answer questions here, please put them in the Q&A. You should be able to. Oh, here, I think I saw something here. Explain LTC and LTV lending. Chris, are you able to cover that, or I can uncover, because I think they posted that
Give me
that
about
question.
30 seconds and I can be seated
I
and
can,
be able to do that.
no problem. I can speak about that. You can chime in, because I know he's in a loud um, area. Anyway, so loan to cost, meaning the how much we paid for it. So in this specific deal, we bought it for 2.76. Yeah, 2.76. Yeah. No, we were able to discount a little more. Anyway, so that will be the loan to cost, and loan to value, meaning like right now we implemented the capex. We also increased the rents, and maybe what I can do is I can show you the numbers if you guys want to do the math with me. Let me pull my calculator. But what we've done is we've done increase in rents by let me see, pull in my calculator. Uh, so by increasing the value of the property, we are calculator. Okay. We are now increase the value of the property, if we were to turn around and sell it. So when the lender said we can only give you or finance you to the loan to cost, meaning how much we pay for it. However, in 6 months, or at the year mark, we can do, you can do a withdrawal from the value, from a withdrawal, from the loan, to up to the certain percent of the value of the property. Sorry, I'm just trying to share my calculator. Here you go. Guys, see my calculator? So,
Yes, yes.
all right. So in this property, thank you. So it's 34 units, and we increase an average, did we say 240? And 15 of the units. This means lease has been signed.
Sorry, it was 175. 175
Oh,
times
sorry.
15. You've bumped
Okay,
it up to
sorry.
I think you're at 1320 for new people now, so that's another 20, $30 higher. So we're at 205 for future ones, but the first 15 are at 175.
Thank you.
Yep.
So 175, this is the value add that we already implemented to this property, okay? So about 175 increase times 15 units have been renewed. That's going to be uh 2,625. That's divided, I mean, multiplied by 12, which annualizes that number. So this is the value added on rents. This is just rent only. Okay, we've also created another sources of income, but we are not counting that. So if we were to turn around and calculate as if we were to sell this property at the same cap rate that we bought it at, which is the point 0.07. I was going to say 7. We purchased at a 7.2 um, cap rate. All right. So that's increase in value for the just by the rent increases of 450,000 if we were to turn around and sell it today. Because those leases are in place and they're signed, signed with the new rent. So that's what the loan I mean that's the value of the property as if we were to sell it today. So if we add this to the purchase price, uh, which was 276?
276. Yeah, it was what we originally had. One more zero.
Yeah.
There you go.
So this property will be valued at 3.2, um, 3,200,000.
Uh,
Again,
of which
mhm.
I'm going to say we bought it at that. However, the appraisal actually came in at 2.9 million.
Yep. Yeah. So we in
So
so
2.9 plus that 450 would be
okay.
33 and a half, 3.35.
Yeah. So the appraised value of this property, we got it at, yeah, plus you said 420? What was the
450
increase?
is what you
450.
had. Yep.
Yeah. So this will be the new assessed value if we were to go back and reassess, or when we do the reappraisal. And again, this is um, just by increasing the rents. Obviously, we've done more than that. We've done the roofs, the foundations, the painting, the new signage is going to be installed in a week or so. And we added washer and dryers, and this is in less than 3 months for sure. So again, if you're thinking, wow, like how do I go about buying those bigger properties? How do I get started? How do I find them? That's why we're here. So let me stop sharing
Mhm.
this.
And just if you wanted to leave your calculator up for a second, you can
Okay.
always take that $450,000, divide it by the new value that we know is there, which is the total value of 3.35. So 450,000
Mm-hmm.
divided by 3.35. Yeah, 3,350,000. That's right. You have one too many
Yeah.
zeros.
Mhm.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Now it equals. That is a 13.5% value increase on this property
In 3 months.
in 3 months. So here we are pushing, and this is where, like we mentioned, the first 15 or so new leases that she did, she was able to raise her rents $175. She has moved to increase that another 25 to $30. Plus, we've instituted parking for more than, I think it's more than two cars.
Mm-hmm.
We've instituted parking there as well for another income. But
Yeah.
being able to bump that another $25 for the next 15 is going to add some more value to the property as well. Because it's not just the 175. We're now at $200 higher, right? So
Yeah.
$200 doing the same calculations, it'll be roughly $500,000 of value added. We know that we're basically in 3 months, we've added a half a million. In the next 6 months, we'll add the other half a million. So on a less than $3 million property, we will have increased the value more than 25%. If we were to sell, it would sell somewhere around $4 million. And would you be okay if we said, hey, we're going into this deal for 5 years, we'll double your money, and then we turn around and double it in 18 months? That'd be a pretty good deal. Or even if we did 40% or 60% in 2 years, that's still better than the 20% over 5 years. It's still right in that neighborhood of the equal returns. So we're looking forward to pushing this property and doing what it needs to do, and what it's prepared to do. The most amazing thing, and I can't wait because I know that these these photos are coming later because we still have gutters finishing up this week and a paint job. But this property actually blends in very well with the gentrified units that are around, that it looks new. Like it just looks just like the other new things that are being have been built. And now we have interiors that are going to match. The tenants are so happy, they're excited, families are happy. She's not even kidding when she tells somebody, listen, you got to look at this thing before the person moves in. The vendor was moving his stuff out while people were moving their things into the bedrooms the other night.
Mm.
So, they're hot, they're moving quick, and we're not even having to advertise them. We're filling these up quickly. So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. As right before I opened the room here, I got a message from one of the residents, and she's asking if we have one available for next week because a person that used to live there years ago left, and so she knows the property and their friends, and she's like she wants to come back after seeing my unit being renovated. So, just that kind of like again, they want the people that live there that are their neighbors. They pretty much choosing their neighbors as long as they're qualified, obviously. But like that's the kind of community they are. And so this property is super strong, super very well centrally located, and families love living there. Anyway, so but we are here to answer your questions, and there's a question here about triple net properties. How do I acquire the broker, and what do I need to look at for? So triple net, for those of you that are not familiar with it, triple net just means that the you own the real estate and then you usually lease it out to a business owner. That business owner might be just think about any business, a clinic, maybe a convenience store, grocery store. So they run the business. They paid everything. So you pretty much charge them a rent, and then they take care of everything else, maintenance, taxes, and everything. So as the I guess the question is, what do I uh,
The main thing to
as
look
the
out for
broker?
with these contracts is, excuse me, how long before the contract ends? When and not just when it ends, but also option periods. How long before the next option period kicks in? Because they have the option of extending or they could leave, right? So we want to try to lock them in. If they're in a lease that still has a lot of time on it, try to lock them into the next option period so you have the certainty after your closing that they're not going to dip out on you in 6 months. Because then you have to refill it, right? And a commercial property with no tenant is just sucking your money the whole time, right? For whatever. The other piece is, what is the escalation of rent for the tenant, whether it's each year or with each option period? Just take a look and see. If you're comfortable with that, then great. And your buying price. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, the option period kicks in and they'll be paying this much. So we want you to pay this pro forma rent because that's coming, right? Once they sign the option, that's the lease that'll be in place for you. Well, it's not there right now, right? And so do your purchase price based off of what you're currently getting. Make sure that you have the return that you are looking for, because unlike multifamily, where you get to raise rents every other month or whatever, for the next market lease. You're locked into this one tenant for the term of that lease. So you have to be getting your projected returns from day one. So if you're
Mm.
projecting to your investors that, over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, we're going to get a 10% return, and there's only an escalation of like 2% in the rent sometime in that period, then you should be getting at least an 8 or a 9% at the beginning. So buy based off of that, right? Knowing that you're lending also interest rate wise and stuff, you got to factor all that stuff in so that you can see that you're going to make that same cash flow that you're talking about. Those are probably the biggest pieces.
As far as the property itself, just remember you're buying a piece of real estate. So, are you buying in the right location? That's the question that is going to attract the business. Is the business that is being released out going to be thriving in that community in that market? So you want to have those those pieces of the equation line up as well. And just remember, triple net is usually going to be leased out to one tenant. Maybe there's a property that you have more than one tenant, but just going back to you have one tenant, and if that tenant for whatever reason they cancel the contract, they have they step away, they uh, you know they don't pay you, then that goes back to um just you don't have anybody to occupy it. And usually in those leases about those businesses, it takes them, even if they said, well, I'm a donut shop and now I'm going to start selling, I don't know, liquor, just so now you're going to have to fix things around to accommodate for not making donuts but to display the liquor. So all that takes some time. We do have some what's called mixed use apartments or properties, and usually we give some time for the new business to come in and install all of the things that they need. They're going to pay for all of that. However, they usually ask for like some time without rent so that they can get that business pretty much in place. So just think about those periods of time where have the risk of not having the income, and really how diversified you are, that you have one tenant and one relying on one tenant. So just that. Let's see. The question here was the question on the 450 increase in value, is that being is that once that the renovations are completed? And the
I
answer is no.
I just typed back the answer that yeah, it was only talking about those 15 units. That when we do the other 19 units, it'll add the additional value. That's where we got the whole total of over $1 million of value added.
Yeah, but
So
also if you like that value add is added now because like those leases are signed, are in place. And obviously we're not gonna do the renovations. We are going to go and do it, but if we for whatever reason didn't renovate, I mean there's some families that are getting their rent increase and they're like, oh no, I don't need anything. Like I'm busy, I work all day. They just don't want to be bothered, and these rents are also going up. So obviously we want to make sure we deliver something, other than like they're so happy with the community and everything else that has been done to the community. But we want to make sure that they're taken care of. And a lot of those tenants, what they've done is that over the years, they've done a lot of the fixings, like they installed new flooring, they painted themselves with the colors they like. I mean, the occupancy, I mean, not the occupancy, but the retention of those families is like average of 8 years. One of them being 31 years has been living there. Some of them are like they have their kids growing up, they're little, and now their kids are grown and married, and they're still live there. So those are the type of families that they just like they have done a lot of stuff themselves. They many of them are in construction, so they just like they renovate their own apartments. And so when we go and do the inspection, they're like, yeah, I don't think I need anything. So those rents are still going up. I have here. How do I get into the panelist room? Just if you increase, I mean, if you increase, if you raise your hand, or we can send you an invite and we can come over. Um, what do you look for on a market to have when choosing a market other than jobs? Um, um, so yeah, what do we look in the market? Well, so if you can think of markets like the cities, the where all the jobs and maybe all the entertainment is, like think about Austin being a primary market. And then if you look at what's outside of Austin, like an hour outside of Austin, like at Tempo, and I'm just going with Austin because that's the area that I know for sure. But you're looking at Miami, it's a primary market. You look outside the Miami, or out like an hour or so, that's going to be usually a secondary or tertiary market. And there's money to be made, and we have made money in all kinds of markets. I think that depending on your business plan, depending on what you're looking for in the property, what kind of properties you look for. I mean, if you're looking for A class, you're going to find those A classes in primary markets. Those newer builds are going to be in the area where there's more population. But if you're going after B and C, um, you know, what we look for, I guess, is the property itself, and what the potential that the property has, and what the cash flow there's left. What is the potential for the property? But as far as like what do we look for in the market, obviously population, the type of uh, crime rate. We try to stay away from high crime because it's super difficult to try to change a neighborhood. And even if your property is like super safe, if it's surrounded by areas that have a high crime level, it's going to be super difficult. You're not the owner of all the neighborhood unless you are, and if that's the case, you can only control your own property. So because of that, we stay away from those type of markets. We have invested in that kind of neighborhoods, but we've invested passively, and there was a nice return, but we know that our what do you call, or sponsors put a lot of time. And so again, depending if that's the only property you have and you can move in there and go chase the bad guys every day or every night, that's something that you're willing to do, then there's as long as you understand that that's your commitment. But I would say those are the things that we look for, that diversification of
Can I
tenants as
add?
well.
I'm
Go ahead.
going to add on there that you're looking for a median income that allows you to raise rents without having to change out the tenant base. So, and we can talk another time about what is that? What does that mean? But you want to make sure that you're able to increase rents, that they can afford a rent bump in the future. And additionally is when you're looking for that one property, making sure that the price per door has a significant difference compared to how much it would cost to buy a home in that area. If you're paying more for the price per door than what it would cost to buy a home, then your rent is going to have to be too high compared to what their mortgage might be. If their value is very close to or within, I'm going to say 50 or 70,000 of your price per door that you're buying, then their mortgage is going to be very similar to whatever your rent is going to be, and it'll definitely be better than your rent amount when you do rent bumps. So what you're looking for is like a 67, we'll say $100,000 price per door, and in a neighborhood that's got $300,000 and $400,000 homes at a minimum. All right, because when they use the FHA loans or something like that, it doesn't cost them a ton to get in. Yes, there's a small barrier to entry there, but they get more value because they don't have to worry about that rent bump, and it's almost the same amount as they're paying today. So those are the other two pieces that we look for: the crime rate, those items. You already hit the nose on the head with or the head on the nose with the jobs and population growth. So thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, somebody asked where are we located. We are everywhere. Just kidding. We are actually located or based out of Austin, Texas, but we don't grow roots there really. We travel quite a bit. If you in case you didn't know, Chris has been retired from the military since 2020, and he jumped right into the real estate. He's been doing full-time real estate since then. I do work at the hospital usually a couple months out of the year and by choice, and I love my profession. That's why I keep doing it, and it also keeps me in front of potential partners, and it allows us to be close to family as well. So, but we travel quite a bit for business, for properties, for fun, and so right now we are in Maryland actually. So that's what we call Uplex on the go because we're always on the go. But we're based out of Austin. That's the area we know like by the zip code pretty much, or at least the areas to go and buy and or to stay away from. Let's see. There's a couple more questions here. Thank you for the questions, guys. Um, mm, mm,
They wanted to talk about insurance for a
Insurance,
minute,
yeah.
the different types of insurance that are needed. So you're gonna have regular liability, you'll have a general umbrella, and there's a third one that they do for the property that's usually bought at the same time as your umbrella. I can't remember the name of that one right now. Um, your liability being your largest piece, and then the other ones are kind of supplementals for your regular insurance. But the easiest thing to do is to go to a broker, insurance broker for commercial properties, and they'll get you quotes on different things. Different vendors or different brokers can find different costs and different values. As we all know, the brokers are the ones who set that final fee because they incorporate their own. So um, don't be afraid to build relationships with some of those insurance brokers. One part that people have not talked about much is errors and omissions or directors insurance. That doesn't have anything to do with the property. It has more to do with covering the general partnership team. And it's more of lack of a better term, I'm going to say it's kind of like a physician who gets malpractice insurance. It would be something like that. So you didn't intend to do anything wrong. However, maybe something went wrong and somebody decides to sue you. If you have this insurance, it's a little bit easier to handle and deal with.
And also, I'm going to add that each lender is going to have the requirements for insurance. What they want you to cover, what's the coverage that they need you cover for. So and the broker, whoever you're buying the insurance from, they should be able to give you like the specific insurance for the lender. In fact, before you go onto a closing table or even negotiating with the lender, they're going to ask you for your insurance and they're gonna review it, and if there's something else that needs to be added, they will let you know. So that's I think that's
Yep. And their follow-up piece to it was they asked because they're trying to learn about Texas real estate. It's a lot different from other areas. I don't feel like
mhm.
it's very different from other areas that you mentioned, Pensacola, New York, North Carolina. But what's different is the asset class and how you deal with that asset class. Because we underwrite and look at deals in each of these, well, not each of these states that you mentioned, but Florida, North
Mhm.
Carolina.
No, New
And
York.
we had looked in New York, but we do not anymore because their tenant laws are very, excuse me, their landlord laws are very tenant friendly. So we stepped away from New York as an option. But anyways, it has more to do with the asset class than it does the location. However, that's another piece, I guess I'll say, for the MSAs, the service areas, market service areas that we look for is landlord friendly, business friendly areas as much as possible. So I guess you can't be prepared for every scenario if you're going into something new. But with networks, with people that you can talk with, you might be able to find out a little bit more about how that area actually works. We were looking in the Atlanta area, a little suburb called Decatur. We had a line on a deal that looked really nice. And somebody else who was local told us that it took them 10 months to get somebody out. And that was kind of standard in that market, in that municipality. So we stepped out of that. We were like, never mind, we're good. So now we probably should have done our own due diligence to verify that timeline, but it was just as easy to just walk away and move into another deal. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Chris. So one question here, if I'm able to raise capital and position myself as a partner, would that bring value to you? And what kind of partnership do you look what kind of partnership do you look for? So if you are raising capital for a deal, you need to position yourself in the partnership. And this is something that we've seen people raise capital, and whether it's one investor or 100 investors. You need to be able to be in the close enough to what the decision making or who is making the decisions, how are they running the deal, so that you can have information and representation for your investors. So you definitely want to be in a partnership. You want to be able to see pretty much everything and the deal, and be able to be involved. The other thing that we don't do is, like, if let's suppose that you do have a large capability of investing or raising capital, uh, we don't want to be the ones or the only majority of that is bringing the majority of the raised capital. So, for example, if you're raising $10 million and we raise 8 million, we don't ever want to be in that position. We have taken back capital so that pretty much allows our partners to bring their own investors as well, because that's just something that we over the
Mhm.
years and over different projects that we have been in that position. We don't ever want to be the majority of the investors, or representing the investors. So but if you're new and you're looking to partner, definitely need to make sure that you are part of the operating agreement that buys and manages the property. That is like the closest that you should be. And even if the property is being bought in a fund, you need to be able to again represent your investors. There's nothing more like that takes your sleep away, that not knowing or not being able to answer questions to your investors because you don't have that information. So if it's not you, the one that is making the decisions, you definitely need to be connected with that person or whoever is making those decisions, because people trust you, people invest with you, because they for whatever reason, maybe you already work with them, maybe you already show them, maybe you have a business and you've done business with them, so they trust you, and that trust is more valuable than anything else in life, really. Like, so again, that's just, I guess, an advice, just to make sure that you are part of the partnership. How do we structure and what kind of equity we share? It's different for each deal, and again, depending on what's the need for the raising of the capital, how much capital is needed, how much you are able to contribute. We have a very subjective way,
Objective.
I'm sorry, objective way to share the equity. So when we do a deal, we gather as team, and then we pretty much show you, hey, this is what you could get equity for, by bringing a deal, by bringing signing on the loan, by bringing investors, and then you got the opportunity to say, what is it that I can contribute here? And you can see clearly how you can get the equity and how much equity you can get, because the equity that is going to be divided amongst the GPs or the sponsors is a set number. So let's say that like we are doing a 80/20. So 20% of the profits are going to go to the general partnership. Well, it's understanding the rules of engagement. Like, how do I know how much harder do I need to work if I don't even know how much I'm gonna get? So you always need to understand that. And I know that's like, well, it depends. You don't to see the numbers until you get to see the numbers. There's a lot of information that you can be asking for. And again, this is definitely not a pitch for you to become more partners. But when you do become more partners, those are the conversations that we have very upfront. So if you're doing partnerships with somebody else, make sure that you're having those conversations. The sad reality is that sometimes when you're new, you don't know what to ask. And then it's like trying to compare. Hey, we're working at the same company. I'm making this much. How much are you making? Like, that's just something that people don't talk about it. And I think that because it's not a conversation that is open and normalized as like it's okay to ask those questions, a lot of the new people get just not treated well. I'm just gonna leave
And
it like
and
that.
and I don't feel, I'll be honest, in a full transparency kind of mode, we have general partnership shares anywhere from 1% to 60% of the GP. So, when you first start out, you can't expect to get a third of the deal unless you're providing a third of the deal plus in support, right? And I say plus because if it's your first deal, you probably don't know what you're doing within it. You're going to need somebody over top of you with experience to show, guide, and direct. and they let you learn it by the process of doing it, right? Just being in the room listening is not enough. You have to take on some roles and participate in order to truly pick some of these things up. And as you do more deals and you take on more roles, you should then be pulling a little bit more equity each time. We're at the stage now that we can run the entire GP side. If the deal is the right size, that we can sign on the loan ourselves, we can do it, everything else, we know that we can handle it ourselves. But the thing is, we don't necessarily want to. And that's part of where Maricela was saying earlier, we brought three people that had never done a deal before because we know how to do the process. We know how to look ahead. We know how to make sure the business plan happens, but we don't want to have to do all the behind the scenes work that has to happen. So we will help guide, direct, and teach so that you can take these things on, learn it, and then the next deal that we do together, you take on another phase. Eventually, you're ready to go off and do your own deals. And we're perfectly fine with that. We're also perfectly fine with continuing to work together and everybody shares the workload a little bit, and we all make a lot more money. So, and do better for properties.
Thank you, Chris. Let's see. Um, where do we look up data for crime? I think that was the question. That was what we were talking about.
He
This
wanted
is
more than crime, but so he uses
city.
city data to
Okay.
look up statistics and stuff that we talked about earlier. Crime, we use the website Spot Crime, SPOT crime.com, free site, free to use. It's useful enough. Um, we've had pretty up to date information. The lender one time, I don't know what site they use or where they get their information. But they had something in the area, in the vicinity of a property that we didn't know about, and we didn't see it on there. Asked the property management company that was in place at the time, and they said, "Oh, yeah, that didn't have anything to do with us. That was like somebody came in because there was something about a shooting or something like that near the property, and it was basically the cops had chased somebody to the property, to that property, not our property. There was a gun shooting, and so it got listed as a shooting in the area, and we're like, yeah, like you can't do anything about that, right? So that was just it's take it all with a grain of salt. But if you see a whole bunch of stuff in one area, then trust that it's happening, right? It's okay if there's something that you didn't notice that it's small or whatever. You can find out the information. And then there's also the public records. The police officers oftentimes have records of what's going on in their area as well.
Um,
Any other sites? Oh yeah, we use CoStar. We have a CoStar account, so we pull reports on properties. We have other ways that we can pull some of the background data on the property itself. Um, the only other website I can think of right now is Spot Crime that makes a difference.
you can also use ChatGPT to give you some of the generalized baseline or knowledge base that is available for a given address. You can ask questions. Right now, like in this DNA, if you're lacking, if you're making the decision or not making a decision to invest based on lack of knowledge, that is you are in the way. You're in the way of just pulling the trigger. There's so much resources, so much information, communities like this that you can join. This goes back to how well do you trust yourself with making that decision. And I go back to like when I was buying properties, I bought properties that I never saw them until like years after. I knew that the neighborhood, I knew the property, but I never was inside the property. Like people take so much time and like, oh, I want to tour the property. Like, again, I was buying it by myself with my own money, and I trusted, like in this case, I trusted the GC and the maintenance guy, and I just tell them, hey, go in there, take a look. Do you know what I like? You know what it will take. Give me an estimate of anything that needs to be fixed. So you have to be resourceful. You need to like get get to the next level. If you're here and you're thinking, I want to invest, well, get to investing. If you're thinking, I want to do my first deal, well, get to do the first deal. Don't spend years and years just researching and sitting on the side listening to me talking or anyone. Just you just have to do the things that are gonna get you to the next level. There's no shortcuts. There's no accelerator. There's like, you just have to be committed. Trust yourself, and that's what it is. Trust yourself, and then just pull the trigger. That is the easiest and fastest way that you're gonna get done. But if you're serious about building wealth through real estate, it's not gonna be one deal that you're gonna go through. And like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna have the conversations that many might not be willing to. When you go after deals, sometimes the deals don't cash flow. That's why we have changed our own strategy. Like, we want our investors like to get paid. All investors, even if it's like a small percentage, they want to make sure that these properties they're cash flowing. Um, so we focus and raising capital for properties that we manage and control because we trust ourselves. Again, we put so much, not only our own capital in these deals, but our reputation, our teams. Like, we like, this is what we do. That we are not going anywhere. So because of that, we are fully committed to the business. And so, just going back to, are you gonna make it happen? Are you like procrastinating? Like, are you not calling the broker to get more information in the deal? Are you not calling me because you don't know, like, you don't trust yourself to make the move? I think somebody said something about a Houston deal. I'm gonna be in Houston. We're gonna be in Houston for the next, solid several weeks. So it is up to you guys. What are you going to do to get onto the next, stop collecting database, stop collecting tools, and, stop collecting information that is not paying you or your family. Um, anyway, I don't know if there's,
Um, somebody asked about what was it? I started another answer real quick. Getting
mhm.
a soft quote for insurance. Do they always want you to fill out a long form? Not always. Usually, like, if you just give them the address, ask your broker, ask the listing broker ahead of time if there's any, what the 5-year run report looks like. If there's basically what that is if there's been any claims in the last 5 years, and provide that answer for them. They can give you the basics of a quote. Will they want something more from you? Probably. But do they have to have it? Not usually. They like, just tell them, look, it's very preliminary. I'm just looking to do my LOI. If I get the LOI accepted, we'll come back and do the rest of the stuff to get a finalized quote, right? As long as he can give you a ballpark, hopefully they give you a ballpark that's on the higher side. Just tell them, listen, hit me a little high so that I have it in my numbers and I'm prepared for whatever comes. Like, that's the way that I would approach that. Sometimes, just like with listing brokers, they're trying to challenge you to see what your response is, to decide how experienced are you, how much could you take care of. The reason they may be asking you for a long form about your team is because you don't have experience. So they're like, well, do you have somebody with experience? Yeah, I have somebody. Okay, well, tell me a little bit about their details. Tell me what they've got going on. Because the more experience that's involved on the property, the lower your rates are sometimes. I won't say all the time, but sometimes. Same thing with your interest rates for your mortgages, right? If I tell people, if you're over 20 to 25 doors, if you're buying something bigger than 20 to 25 doors, you probably need somebody who has experience. Very few banks will loan to you for anything bigger than that without having experience in the asset type and size. They actually prefer that you have experience in the market as well, but they're willing to overlook that depending on the experience. Okay, so I
Well,
think that answers that one.
thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for all the questions that show us that you're engaged, that you're using the information and then wanted to get more. So we're asking you a favor, and I don't know where you get this invite. I don't know, like, if you're following me on social media or if we're in some communities together. I'm asking you a personal favor. Just put it out there. If you learned something, if you found this productive, just make a comment, engage so that we can continue to grow this community. As you see, there's nothing here to be sold. There's no charges. There's nothing like information that we pass is information that is you know part of our experience, things that we're seeing, things that we implemented. We've done this for almost over 4 years for sure. And if you ever want to just
Awesome.
catch up with our journey, we do have a file where we've been publishing our newsletter every month, going on 5 years now. And if you ever just want to learn, hey, what was Uplex doing 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Give me a let me know, send me a message or an email and ask me for that link. It's a way for us to document. It really is a way for us to document our journey for our grandkids. And speaking of them, we are with them today or this weekend. And he is 3 years old. There's a picture that he has and Chris has in the background. He is now 3 years old, and she is 5. And that we do everything we can to leave this information that is in our brains right now, to leave it for them, so that but if you want to take a look, you will see how we've transitioned, how we changed our strategy, how we diversify, how we, like somebody asked about raising capital. I talked about that in those, and and our newsletters, and just overall just continue to be here in front of you guys. That's what keeps us engaged, because we want to train enough people to pass the knowledge, so that when our grandkids are like having a question, hey, what is the cap rate? What should I look at in this property? Hopefully, we gave you enough so that you can help our grandkids if we are not there to help them. Happy Valentine's, everybody, and thank you so much for coming and joining us. And we'll see you again. I believe we have a third. What are we? Next Thursday, I think it is the third Thursday of the month. Um, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the 19th. If you wanna come, it's on the 19th. We'll send you the invite as well. When I send these resources that I told you about. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris, for being here.